Okja is a near-future sci-fi action black comedy drama about a Korean girl named Mija who grows up in the mountains with Okja, a sentient super pig given to her and a dozen traditional farmers across the globe to husband under surveillance as part of a campaign competition by Miranda Corporation. Okja wins and thus begins a wild pig chase between US corporate power, the Animal Liberation Front, and Mija, who just wants to go home with her best friend. There are so many things to talk about, and the film is almost always considered under an animal rights and environmental lens, but I'll focus on some of its Orientalist and colonial themes. Pravichandra's article Body Markets discusses the way sci-fi future can illustrate millennial capitalism, where global capitalism today presents itself to the laboring poor in messianic form, which if correctly harnessed can transform the universe of the marginalized and disempowered. She reviews a sci-fi about paid third world human organ donors, and though Okja isn't literally human, her and her foster family work in similar terms. The grandfather is responsible for taking the job, knowing the pig would eventually be returned to the US for parts. Seems cruel, especially to Mija and Okja, who are unaware of its scope, but his decision can be understood within the rise of occult economies, characterized by the allure of accruing wealth from nothing. For the poor farmer excluded from capitalism's promise of global prosperity, the raising of a single pig, handled by nature and his grandchild's free labor, falls into that register. He gets paid for little, and the West enjoys ethical consumption. It isn't a perfect analogy, if only because the family dynamics are more complicated. The grandfather considers Okja inferior. She is a different species with no rights, owned by Miranda and slave until freed. Mija, who does consider her equal blood, cannot accept the terms and goes to save her. Either way, it is a seduction of millennial capitalism that found them this work, to make Okja happy so that she produces the best, happiest organs for the first world consumption. The film also checks current American Orientalist imaginings. The Miranda campaign, which renders ethnic others quaint subjects under their benevolent patronage, is Orientalism per se. By positioning the film from a Korean perspective, their narrative is thrown into relief, revealing more about their greed and the liberal West perception of superiority. The film later literally flips the script on Western ubiquity in language. When translating between the ALF and Mija to get her consent, the Korean American on the team purposefully mistranslates Mija's refusal so they can go ahead. When she calls after him to explain himself, the English captions tell us he says, "Try learning English, it opens new doors," which seems to reify Western globalism. However, what he is actually saying is, "My name is Kusum Bum." This deliberate non-diegetic mistranslation can only be understood by those who know Korean, therefore undermining the assumption of Anglo necessity and Western hegemony by cracking a joke only a non-Western marginalized audience would comprehend.